Hey, welcome back to the Backyard Professor Chess videos. I just wanted to show you this. The other night I was playing on Lichess on the tactics puzzles. I don't know if you can see that. I hope it's in focus. My rating was 17-14. Then I played it for a few minutes and got up to 17-23. I played it for a little while longer and got up to 17-36. Then I got up to 17-47. You can see I've got some peaks and valleys though. You win a few, you lose a few. Then I got up to 17-59. And then I got up to 17-61. And then my final was 17-63. So I'm kind of making progress until I kept playing after 11 o'clock at night. And then I missed 6 puzzles in a row. And you know, you ever notice on Lichess, you'll win a puzzle and it's worth 5 or 6 points. You mess up a puzzle and it was worth 16 or 15 or whatever, and it takes that off your score. I went down to like 1686. I think I bumped it back up to about 1704. But I'll keep you posted on how I'm doing on the tactics exercises on Lichess. It's fun. That's a great way to study tactics. It's kind of what got me into thinking, you know what? I can do some tactics videos myself. And I can show some tactics puzzles. Thank you for your comments on my first video. Obviously, I need work on tactics. I missed a beautiful knight fork of the king and queen, and I took the rook instead. Yeah, I saw the knight fork, but I didn't see the real juicy one. I just saw the good one. So, I mean, that's why we practice, right? And then I did miss a few other things. So let's do some more tactics and see if I'm getting things any better, or if I obviously need to keep working on it. My goal on Lichess is to get above 2,000 even this year. That would be spectacular if I could do up to 2,000. I'll keep you posted on it. We ought to let me know how your rating is on the. You go to the section on Learn, and it has puzzles, and you go to the puzzles, and it shows you the tactics puzzles, and there's hundreds of thousands of them, and it's all free. It's absolutely excellent. So anyway, okay, so here's our first tactic puzzle, and you can see that the black queen, in fact, she was right here, and she just took the pawn there. And so the question is, what is the best move for white in this situation? Do you even pay attention to her? I mean, all of your bases are covered except for that bishop right there. Do you ignore it and let her take the bishop and try to come up here and attack the king? What do? What's the best move? Pause the video, look at it, try to figure it out, and then come back and I'll show you what I found. Alright, we're back. Okay, I'm not going to pause the video. You guys pause the video if you decide you want to pause it. The move is knight to d1, hitting the queen. Definitely. And black responded with rook takes c1. And white responded by rook takes rook on c1. Notice he didn't threaten the queen. That's because the queen takes the rook and you win the queen. Woohoo! That's a good tactic. And you might ask, what the heck is the queen taking the rook for? That really surprised me too. Because if the queen doesn't take the rook, he's got the back rank checkmate. And this was fairly early on in the game. So you can see that that's quite a good tactic to put the knight into this if the queen ever attacks your queen side like that. This was a queen pawn gambit opening. So there's your first tactic. Hang on and I'll go nab you another one real quick. All right, for the second tactics puzzle that was kind of interesting and fun for me, white just played queen to b5 right there. So the question is, as black, what do you do? What is your best option here in, obviously, an endgame where you have queens and rooks and pawns and kings? Pause the video and I'll be right back to show it to you. All right, you're back. I've been here all along. I've been waiting here for like 20 years. It took you long enough. Smart Alec. I apologize, really, truly. Seriously, and I'm never serious. And I'm serious about being never serious. So, there you have it. Well, the queen moved up. Rook takes g2, which is kind of a, oh, you kind of go, really? Yeah. King takes g2. Queen goes to g4, check. King comes out to f2, and queen takes the rook here. Now you're down to queens and pawns. However, black wins because he has way more pawns, and he will be able to push one of those pawns into queen. So it's interesting in an endgame like that, if you have many more pawns than your opponent, swap down, swap the pieces down. Heck, swap the queens if you can eventually, although white's not going to want to, but you would, because then you can use your king and escort your pawn majority right up and in. So there's another tactics puzzle. Another one's coming right down the pike in about 2 seconds. Okay, tactic up. Sound like a kitchen, right? Eggs are up. Come and get the breakfast. Yeah, whatever. We're not talking food. We're talking chess. Okay. We are in a situation here where black has realized that he's getting pressure on his king side. And so he's pushed h6. So the question is, what is white's best response? Pause the video and try to work through it, and come right back and I'll show you how it works. Welcome back. Knight takes h6, check, is how white responded. King came to h7. Knight took f5, check, discovered check with the queen. King comes out to g6. Queen comes to g4, check. King bumps over to f6. Queen takes g7, check. King takes f5. Bishop to d3, check. King came to f4. Rook came to e4, check. King went to f5. And then pawn to g4, mate. So that's kind of a fun little situation to see how all of white's pieces got in against that king, and most of black pieces just couldn't get to him, because once white began to attack the king, he kept at it with everything he had. So that's kind of a cool thing to keep in mind about tactics. Once you start attacking a king, be relentless. Another tactic coming up in just 1 second. All right, we have another tactic here we want to look at. The player playing the white is playing the player playing the black. Not to state the obvious. Whatever. Yeah, here we go. Okay. King has just moved, the white king has just moved to d2 out of check. So what is the best response for black to give us a great tactic puzzle? Pause the video and check it out, then come right back and I'll show you what happened. Welcome back. Okay, queen came to d4 check, which is a decent move. And the king bounced back to e1 out of check, which seems to me to be a pretty good move. And the bishop moved to d3, giving the white king discovered check. Bishop came to e4 to block the check. It's a simple thing to see that, yeah, the rook would take e4 check, and the king comes back up to d2, and now black wins the queen. So that's a nifty little tactic. Again, part of what gave this tactic its oomph is one of our pillars, the rook on the open file. Well, and I mean truly, the queen is also on the open file, but a lot of tactics that I see on the Relentless tactic board has to do with something with the rooks on the open files. It's a prominent feature. It's not the main feature, but it is a prominent feature. I would think the better pillar in tactics that I've been noticing on Relentless is targets. They attack targets, man. And if they don't have targets, they create them to attack them. And that's a main connection with tactics, which is really kind of cool to see that connection. All right, another tactic puzzle come up. Just hang on to your britches. Okay, let's look at another tactic. This one is a very interesting one. White has just moved his rook to d1. And so what is black's best response? Pause the video and check it out and see what you think, and then come on back and I'll be here waiting to show you what I think. Welcome back. Notice I didn't pause the video in case you're going straight through. I'm going to let you guys pause the video. I see some guys making videos where they do that. Okay, pause the video for about 15 seconds, and then they will stand there for about 15 seconds. And you don't have to do that. You pause the video, otherwise you're going to see me just keep right on going. Anyway, get on with it, cowboy. Okay, here we go. Queen to c2. A power move. Very interesting. He's gonna swap the queens. But instead of swapping queens, white threatens the queen with the knight, and so now black needs to swap the queen on white's terms, right? And rook takes d2, and now we're in the clear, except for one problem. Bishop goes to c1, hitting the rook. The rook comes to d3, and the bishop takes the rook. So black got a rook. What white missed in this tactic was when black brought the bishop up, white could have responded here. He could have taken the bishop, and then the rook would have taken the knight. But he would have saved his rook. As he played it, he lost the rook. So, there's your tactic puzzle. Hang on, I'm not finished yet. I have more tactics for you. All right, welcome back. Okay, a new fresh tactic to look at. White is being threatened. Black bumped the pawn. So white put his bishop on d2. The question is, what is black's best move? Pause the video, check it out, and then come back, and I'll show you what I found. This one gives black a piece real easy. Real easy. Bishop simply takes the bishop. End of discussion. And you go, really? Yes, because black is threatening a back rank checkmate. You can't take it with the knight. That doesn't help you, because black's going to go right here. Queen will take the queen, then the rook will take the queen, checkmate. Or, if you will, the knight, if it didn't take it, can go there, and then the rook can take it and go checkmate. So, again, we have to keep the back rank firm in our minds while we're playing. It shows up so often. It really does. I can't tell you how many times I've been back rank checkmated this year. It's just silly. Or how many back rank checkmates I've done. I've done a couple of them in chess club, and they're fun to do, but it really sucks to be on the receiving end. So it never hurts to review that a little bit. So, all right, let's check out another tactic. All righty. In this tactical puzzle, black has just pressed his pawn, hitting the white bishop, and the bishop moves back here to e3, I believe. Yes, e3. So, what's a really good response for black to do here? That's the question, and you know the solution. First, pause your video, and then come back and I'll show you what I found. Welcome back. Boy, you've been gone long enough. Heck, I had coffee and donuts already. Whatever. Okay, let's look at this interesting thing. Did you notice the potential skewer? Bishop a6 is how black did that. Yeah, that's nice. That's a good skewer. Queen to d2. Queen came to b4, hitting the queen. Kind of interesting. Queen came to d7, hitting the bishop. They exchange a knight for a bishop. And now, bishop takes f1. He gets the exchange up, and the rook took f1. So black wins the exchange on that one. Kind of a interesting little idea, isn't it? If you can win the exchange, hey, that's endgame insurance. So there's yet another tactic down the tubes, and now, stay tuned, I have more. True story, I'm not kidding. In this little endgame tactical ditty, white just put his queen on h1. So look this one over, pause your video, see what you can figure out, come back and I'll show you what I found. Hey, welcome back to the Backyard Professor Chess videos. Oh, wait a minute, I've already started this one. Okay, what happened was queen comes to g4. Yes? King went to f2. Knight came to h3, check. Rook, no, not rook. King went to f1, and now the rook comes to f8, using that open file, absolutely. King came to e1. Queen bumped up to g3, check. King goes to d2. Rook goes to f2, check. You can see him closing in. King went to d1. Queen came to g4, check. Bishop came to f3. The beauty of this tactic is the power of the queen. Again, studying tactics really helps you see how versatile a queen can be. Queen to d4 check. She is an amazing animal, I'm telling you. And then, of course, the simple bump up to mate. So that's how that tactic was handled by black masterfully, while the poor white queen couldn't get in on it after she went to h1. Because once you begin to check and attack the king, you give it everything you've got. Yeah, especially toward the end when the field is fairly open and you have lots of different options and angles to get at the king. Go get the king. Alrighty, hang on, I've got another one for you. Alright, with this particular tactical study here, black just moved his pawn to a5. So your white, what do you do with the white pieces? What's the best tactical blow you can deliver? Pause the video and come right back, because I'm going to be here waiting, patiently tapping my feet. Not really, here we go. Whatever. Okay. The shot that white took was queen a8. Check. Again, that back rank idea looms large in chess games. Truly. Black kind of fell asleep at the wheel here, right? So the only viable response he had, he thought, is queen f8. When he went to queen f8, that gave him the chance to shoot the rook up here. Now, the back rank checkmate is strong here too. The bishop's protecting it pretty good though. Yeah? So, white's up material, go for the gusto, yes? Now, interestingly, black put the knight right here, protecting the queen. Kind of a nice little move. You can't take it, otherwise the queen takes the queen. So that's pretty strong. White has a great response. He puts the bishop right here. Nice! And of course, all you can do now is bump up, and white gets the queen. Did you take it with the rook? Yep. You took it with the rook, and he got the queen. So there's that tactic again involving the idea of a potential back rank checkmate you really got to watch. Always well worth reviewing. So hang on, I have another one. Okie doke, with this tactics puzzle we're in the opening. So there's still a lot on the board. So there's a lot to look at. And this is why we have to try to be as careful as we can, right? We all make mistakes, but tactics happen, so we have to sharpen our eyes. Here, black played c5, hitting the center pawn, trying to fight for the center, which is good strategy. What's the tactical move that white played here? Pause the video and scoot on back, because we're still here. All right, welcome back. White went e5. Nice pawn fork. Yeah. Always watch for that. If there is two minor pieces with a pawn in between or a space in between them, and you've got a pawn, that's always a wonderful pawn fork. Yeah? Well, bishop takes f3. Kablam. Disrupting the kingside pawns. So he's going to try to trade down because he knows he's going to lose a piece. C takes d4, taking the central pawn that he hit. That's true. And now white wins his piece, and in the process disrupts the black kingside. So that pawn fork is a Lulu. I've had that thrown at me so much, I'm getting tired of it. I have to sharpen my eyes for this tactic. Here, white got the best of black for that pawn fork. So, we're not done yet. I have another tactic to show you. Hold on, I gotta eat my... I gotta eat my dinner. I'm gonna take a quick break. Have my hamburger without the bun. The grain is no good for you anymore. And I'll get back to this tactic video. Just the burger. That's the best way. Alright, we're back doing more tactic puzzles. This is a pretty involved situation. White has just threatened the queen with the bishop, and the queen decides that she wants to take that bishop, but this queen is in the way. Right? I mean, you know, it just torques your britches, doesn't it? It torques black's britches to the point to where black popped that queen right down on an outpost and said, aha, I'm mad about you attacking my queen. I'm going to attack yours back. So, what is a real good response for white at this point? Pause the video, check it out, see what you come up with, and then come back and I'll show you what I came up with. Alright, we're back. Sorry, I've got to straighten out that pawn. He was kind of sitting crooked. He probably had too much to drink the night before. Yeah. White, rather than worrying about this at the moment, I mean, look, his 8th rank is really well guarded, right? His king is just not in any kind of serious danger, even though the most powerful piece is breathing down his neck. White instead shoots for a tactical shot. He comes right over here, takes f7, threatening the rook. Boom. Quite a move, you have to admit, yeah? Well, black came to here and he decided, look, I'm going to go all the way through with this, take the queen, and yeah, that makes sense. The rook retakes the queen, and now we have an issue over here. Well, the rook comes out of danger, rightly so, of course, but now white has the bishop pair, and he uses them effectively, saying, check, hombre. Yeah. So the king has to move to e8, and now knight comes to h6 with a discovered check. The power of the bishop pair, man. Targets. Targets, targets, targets. They tie in with tactics really well, man. So, the poor king is coming up here to d7. He's being chased all over the place. And, of course, now white wins a rook. So, instead of worrying immediately about the threat, white went for a really cool tactical shot. And it paid off because he ended up getting a rook. So, is that it? Not even close. I have more tactics for you. The thing is, you got to stick around. Well, alrighty then. Let's take another tactic. We're making progress. We're putting these patterns in our heads and understanding how pieces coordinate to attack targets, to come up with good tactics that win for us, yeah? White has threatened the black rook, and so the black rook responded by coming to d7. What is white's tactical shot here? Pause your video, take a few moments, enjoy it, grab yourself a cup of coffee and a donut, and come right back here because I'm waiting patiently for you, my beloved viewers. Welcome back. White put his rook at c6, hitting target. Watch for targets. It helps in creating tactics, no joke. To protect the bishop that cannot move, that's why it's such a great target. You don't want to lose a piece, so you protect the piece. Yeah? But the rook takes the bishop anyway. So the rook takes the rook, And now white wins a rook. That's a pretty cool tactic. The key to that tactic, in my opinion, was the file and the idea of acquiring a target. Two of our pillars, man, connected with tactics. That is so cool to know. All right. Well, thanks for watching my Backyard Professor Chess videos. Oh, hey, wait! I have another tactic is hollering at me. I hear it. Carry, play me. All right, hang on. I've got another one for you. All right. For the final tactic in this series, we have a real interesting position, and white just happened to be trying to get an edge up on black. If you can believe he wants to do that in a chess game. Funny thing that. He pushes to f5. Yeah? So, the question is, what is black's idea? What is black going to do? What does he want to do? Pause the video one last time for this series of tactics and in this video, and then you can quit wearing out your pause button and come right back, because I'll be right here starting to explain it, and if you don't come back fast enough you won't catch the explanation. Just so you know, I'm not going to wait for you forever. Alright, welcome back. Black pushed to d3, hitting the bishop. And because of that, white came to c3, and queen takes c5, threatening to change queens, which he did. He changed queens, queen c5, bishop takes c5 check to the king. King bumps up to g2, and now d takes the bishop and also wins a rook. So that's quite a tactic. Granted, these aren't grandmaster tactics, but they're fun to see. It's fun to at least begin to sharpen our minds, trying to say, you know, we can start putting tactics into our play because we're playing with the three pillars. As beginners and intermediates, we are simplifying chess down so that we can later expand. But first we got to keep it simple. Three pillars. Center and center influence, rooks on open files and use those files, and targets. And we are finding that rooks on open files and targets, as well as control of the center, is helping us use and see better tactics. So it's a great connection. It's another expansion of our three pillars that I personally really like, because I'm hoping that we're moving up the mountain, not just plateauing. The way to move up the mountain instead of plateauing is also including tactics in our repertoire. Isn't that a great word? Repertoire. I have a repertoire. Yeah, whatever. All right, look. Be happy, do good, be good, smile at people. It makes them wonder what the heck you've been doing, and that's a lot of fun, man. And have a great night, and I will see you in the next Backyard Professor Chess video. Thanks for watching.